right, so there you go. For everyone who said that they missed Levi helping me, he's gotten a lot bigger since the first few times he helped me make my coffee in a Will I Buy It video. But yeah, now he is officially like helping me, not just following me around crying, wanting to get picked up. So yeah, I called him over when I was starting to make my coffee. I was like, hey, Levi, want to help? And he was very into all of it. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed getting a little snapshot of him. Can't believe he is 2.5 years old now. It's going by so fast. But anyway, hello and welcome back. If you are new here, I always do a little intro where I make my iced coffee or my coffee, whatever the case is, before I dive into the Will I Buy It talking about new makeup releases. I really enjoy diving into the new makeup releases that have come out from the past week, especially mostly indie makeup, just because those are the palettes that attract my attention the most. And to do a little twist and keep these videos a little bit more doable for me to edit, I do top 5, bottom 5. And this is inspired from Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner. And then the Will I Buy It series is inspired from Samantha March, who started it, and then also Angelica Nyquist and Amy Loves Makeup do it as well, and they do a lot of indie makeup releases. So all of these ladies inspired me, but Annette did them in this top 5, bottom 5 fashion, where she picked 5 recent releases that she thought were really cool and talked about it, and then also 5 fails of a release for her personally, and she talked about it. So that's what we're going to be doing in today's video. If you're new around here, I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I think that's about it for my intro. Let me go ahead, scoot over, grab my phone, take a sip of my coffee, and we can dive right into it. Alright, so this first release isn't necessarily a no because I just think like the color story's a fail or whatever. This is mostly a no because it's an all shimmer palette, but this is a new palette from the brand Gourmande Girls Cosmetics, and it's the Radioactive palette, and it is an all shimmer palette that looks full of those special type of shadows. It is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 pan eyeshadow palette, all sorts of different colors. I appreciate and like that they do a lot of different colors. It's not just kind of a gradient of one type of color. This Electro Love, definitely very pretty. That definitely like just stands out so much in this palette for me. But overall, it's a very pretty palette. I'm not saying it's not. Exposure is definitely that type of shadow that I've seen, not infrequently, but I think is so very beautiful when you create an eye look with it and whatnot. If you're someone who likes those shifty type of shadows, you like those special type of shadows, I think you would like this type of palette. I don't know Gourmande Girl Cosmetics. I don't know their formula, but if it's anything like Saints Angel Sinners, which is a new brand I discovered not too long ago, they sent me their all shimmer palette Get Lucky. If it's anything like this, these are so smooth, so easy to work with. They glide on your eyes. They don't emphasize any texture at all when they're on my eyes. I absolutely love this. I'm going to be reviewing it very, very soon in a Palette Palooza. Speaking of which, I gotta film that next week, so hopefully you guys will be seeing that in not too distant future. We'll see when I can get it edited. But anyway, if it's anything like that brand, I think you will enjoy this. I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of these colors in that Get Lucky palette and in a couple other palettes that I have, like the Adept and Heather Austin palettes. I'm not a super big fan of like these special type of shadows where I feel like I have to collect them all. I have a couple to, you know, create some fun looks, but you guys know me, I enjoy color. I enjoy like colorful mattes and working with matte, you know, shadows to create looks a little bit more than just, you know, the special shadows that you can do one and done type of looks with. Anyway, this is a bottom 5 for me because it's definitely just something that like I was like, oh, okay, but I wasn't super attracted to. However, I do understand why some people are going to be super hyped for this launch. And like I did say, Electro Love I think is the most unique / eye-catching shadow in here, and most unique I feel like that I've seen launched from brands when it comes to these special type of shadows. It's like a hot pink, red, orange, fiery color. That's the one I'd be like, oh, that'd be pretty to make an eye look with. Besides that, it's just a very easy pass for me. So for me personally, and just the way I enjoy creating and playing with eyeshadows, it's a very easy pass. So it's going in the bottom 5 for me from this past week. Talking about top 5, it's this collection from SheGlam. I don't remember what the collection's called. Be Bold, Be Hue collection, available now. This collection, before we dive into it, I just have to say this. It looks like they corrected it here going, you know, from here on out, but Hotfire was one of the first accounts that I saw posted, and when I was looking at it, I noticed that if you zoom up here on this palette, SheGlam, it says B-L-O-D, Be Hue eyeshadow palette, so they like swap the letters. I'm assuming that's a typo in a random box. Hopefully that's not on all the boxes. That would be a little weird, but I remember looking around, I was like, Be Blod? Anyway, slightly petty, but I just had to point that out because it gave me a chuckle when I first saw it. But anyway, let's talk about the palette, which is the important part of this collection. You guys know me, I always love an eyeshadow palette. This is a rainbow palette, and some people were talking about my last video when I was talking about all the rainbow palettes, just saying like, I'm kind of over all the rainbow palettes. I personally know to expect a lot of rainbow palettes when it comes to June in the summer. So when I see a bunch of brands launching them, as you go along, like now it's kind of like, okay, this is like, you know, the 10th rainbow palette I've seen. Doesn't feel too unique. However, I do like to kind of sit there and look at it and decide like if it's a rainbow palette that I would like if I were to get it. And this is definitely a rainbow palette that I do like. It has mattes on the top, shimmers on the bottom, and it has a shimmer matte to go with it, which I love. But the thing that I think this one did it better than when I talked about rainbow palettes last time, and I can't even remember the brand that had it, but they had it kind of like this, where they had one row of mattes, one row of shimmer, and then they had a corresponding color of the rainbow to give you that rainbow palette to go along with it. The thing I said then was like, I wish that the blue and the purple, and maybe even, I forget if it was the green as well, but they were very dark when it came to the shimmers. However, with this one from SheGlam, I really appreciated that the shimmers to go along with the matte are relatively light across the board. I think, yeah, here's some swatches. I feel like all of the shimmers go really nicely. If there's anyone that's a little like, a little too dark for my taste, it might be the red shimmer, but even that is lighter. I always just like working with light, bright eyeshadows when it comes to the shimmers on my lid, because I like them to stand out from the mattes. It just makes them pop. It makes them more shimmery, more eye-catching, that type of thing. So that's what I always look at. And with this, specifically with the blue and purple, I feel like they did a really good job making the shimmers lighter. Now, do the shimmers look especially like special looking at these? I don't have a ton of experience with SheGlam. I would say no, they kind of just look like, oh, okay. You know, nothing too, I don't know, too special, but they look nice. You can kind of see that there's a hint of purple, hint of blue, hint of green, so forth and so on throughout the colors. And I don't know, I feel like they did a nice job. There's a nice amount of depth in the mattes, and there's a nice amount of lightness and brightness with the shimmers, which is what I like when it comes to a simple rainbow palette like this. I thought they did it very well. And they also have others. They have a highlighter in here. Also liners. Oh, colorful liners. From the looks of it, yeah, colorful liners. So if you like colorful wings, you can get a rainbow collection here, and they look like little minis, which I think is a neat idea to sell little minis in all colors of the rainbow. That's really cute. And then what else? I think that's it in the collection. I don't have any idea quality wise. It's been a long time since I tried SheGlam. I tried 2 palettes from them. One was a total miss. I didn't like it. It was a more pastelish palette, and it was just not very good. And then the other one was a decent palette. So with this being so intense and colorful, I feel like it would be pretty decent. And I've heard pretty good reviews about SheGlam's palettes in recent months and in the recent years, so maybe it's a worth getting. But anyway, all that to say, I just want to talk about the color story and how I was really impressed with having all those dark mattes paired with those light shimmers. I really like that in a rainbow palette. All right, moving right along, we have, this is going to go in bottom 5 again, not because it's like a horrible release. This one I actually kind of like a little bit, I like half of it, I should say. When I initially saw it, I was like, oh, okay, it's an easy pass for me. And this is coming from Emme Cosmetics, and this is, they are launching 2 new palettes, the Dream Sunset palette. One is a very neutral looking palette over here, very light. They got 3 shimmers, 6 mattes, and the other one is a more colorful version, but still there's a softness to all of the colors. As you can see, like there's a coolness to all the colors. And this one has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shimmers and 4 mattes. So more shimmers than mattes. The thing that did it for me, because I was looking at the more colorful version, of course, the very neutral version was like an automatic pass. I do appreciate and like the 2 palettes together. I feel like you would get a lot of really pretty color stories, especially if you're someone who's more into neutral makeup or just lighter makeup and not so intense and crazy as what I have on today. I definitely think the 2 palettes pair very well. So I like that they swatched them out like that, just so that we can see if we wanted to buy them both, how they would work together. But the thing that kind of made me just like, oh no, it's not for me, it's not a palette I would like, is that with the more colorful one, the darkest shade is a shimmer and there's more mattes than shimmers. I do like the gradient that you get with this palette, going from purple to blue to green. I think that's really pretty. I know the formula is going to be amazing because I have tried Emme Cosmetics and their formula is so nice to work with, so beautiful. I've tried singles from them. I also have an eyeshadow palette from them that I got last time that they launched a palette, I believe. They have a very nice formula. It is beautiful, but just for me, this color story, not having more dark, deep mattes, I don't know, I feel like all the looks that I would get would just have a very washed out and almost kind of like, yeah, not washed out in a bad way, but like a almost, you know, all one color, just a watercolor type of eye look, I think is how I would get. I don't know how much depth and intensity I would be able to get from this palette. So that's why it's an easy pass for me. The neutral, of course, was an easy pass, but I did take a second to really look at this colorful one because I was like, Do I like it? But then, like I said, the Remember Me, there's more shimmers than mattes, and then the Remember Me is really dark, but it's a shimmer. I don't know. It's pretty. I'm sure a lot of people are going to like this, and if you're new to the brand, you like this color story, I can definitely recommend the brand because, like I said, their formula is so, so nice. But for me personally, it was just an easy miss for me, so it's going to my bottom 5. This kind of surprised me, but this is going to my top 5, and this is from Kristen Leigh Cosmetics. This is a highlighter. This is the only non-palette that we're talking about today, and I was like, really? Am I gonna have like all 9 categories be palettes and then 1 be a highlighter? But this really just like, you know, stood out to me. It's a rainbow highlighter. Is that unique? No. But there's just something about this that I feel like it's a rainbow highlighter that I actually wouldn't mind owning and I could actually see myself using. There's something about it, just looking at this, it looks so smooth, like the formula looks very smooth in both the swatch and in the actual pan. It looks like a very smooth formula to work with, and also I like the subtlety in the different colors in the highlighter, because for me, who's someone who just isn't super into colorful highlighter, I feel like it's a highlighter where I could use the different aspects of it and actually like wear it day to day and not feel too out of my element, that type of thing. I don't know, looking at the swatch, looking at how the colors blend on the skin, I'm like, yeah, that's something where I could wear that, and like if I had a purple look, I could, you know, kind of stick to the purple blue top section of it and get a really pretty highlighter to go along with the look. Or, you know, if I had a more goldeny look or green, you could kind of stick to that color. They are very thin, but like I said, there's something very smooth, and all the colors being so light that I feel like even if you weren't, you know, getting exactly the green, the surrounding colors go with it so well, and they're so very subtle. I think this is a rainbow highlighter I would actually like have in my collection and use and enjoy, which I think is just odd for me, because even when the rainbow highlighter was at its like peak in just popularity and like every single brand was coming out with a rainbow highlighter, I think I had one sent to me in PR that I ended up decluttering because I was just like, no, I'm not into it at all. But this one, when I saw it a couple nights ago, I was like, that's actually really nice. And like I said, I think the thing that gets me is how smooth the formula looks in this swatch and how subtle the gradient and the different colors are. I feel like I could jive with it. So as surprised as I was, as I'm sure you guys are, I'm putting this in my top 5 because I thought this is a good solid release, a great release to come from Kristen Leigh Cosmetics, and it just seems like a really great rainbow highlighter. Okay, let's talk about a fail, and this is definitely like fail for me. This is Profusion and Jurassic World. Now, I will say that I feel like every time Profusion comes out with something, the first kind of stock photos like this that we see of it, I'm always kind of like, that doesn't look so great. And then you see it in person and they're a lot more intense or a lot more vibrant. So maybe that'll be the case. But I don't think even then I will like be intrigued at all to try this, because if you really look at this palette, it's a nice kind of neutral grungy type of color story, but it's just so much, so big. There's so many colors in there, but the vast majority of them, if you kind of went around and like covered up those colors, like the bright red and the 2 purples, it's like a purple, pink, and a blue purple, those colors down there, maybe some of the more brighter greens and yellows. And then you look at the palette, it's like, it's kind of just like a very, you know, typical kind of neutral palette. Tons of brownies, cool tone brown to warm cold brown, so that's nice, but it's just not a lot in here. And for the palette packaging, like that kind of blue to purple to, you know, hot pink there, that's really intriguing, but I really can only see that color story in that bottom row, excluding the 2 browns in there, but on that bottom row, and I'm just like, I don't know. The palette packaging I think is really cool. Don't love how it opens. I always find those type of palettes annoying when they open in the middle like that, but it just doesn't do it for me. So I saw this and I was like, okay, never mind. They are selling what looks to be like a water activated liner. Let me double check that. There's a land, sea, and air water activated liner, which I'm assuming is this. $10 as well. And then there's duochrome eyeshadows. Oh, there's highlighters. There's like jelly highlighters. There's a lot in here. Okay, there's a lot. I was really only focusing on the palette. I obviously did not swipe far enough. There's face jewels, there's sponges, there's lashes. There's a lot in this collection. I think they did the packaging really pretty because I really like how this looks. Like, that's pretty. I love that top. I'd kind of want to own that just to have those colors with that kind of like, I guess, reptile skin, dinosaur skin look to it. I think that's really pretty. These look pretty as well. There's a lot there, but the palette, which is what the focus of this, you know, bottom 5 is on, was a big miss for me. I just looked down and was like, I don't know. Womp. Okay, y'all. I think this is the one. I think this is the one where I am finally gonna try Unearthly Cosmetics. This is obviously going in my top 5, but this is from Unearthly Cosmetics, and this is the In the Dark palette, which I think they've already launched, but they're like reformulated it and repackaged it, I think. I'm not sure. Available June 20th. Sounds like a launch to me. Again, I'm not really sure. I think they switched out some colors. Let me know if you're someone who follows Unearthly Cosmetics. I feel like I've seen this before because the packaging, outside packaging, looks a little familiar. But anyway, I saw it this past week and I was like, is this the first Unearthly palette that I can say yes to the palette packaging and yes to the color story and just like love it all combined together? Because this looks really intriguing. I feel like this would be a palette that would stretch me a little bit because all the colors are so dark, but they're all so different. They seem to go so well, and the two shimmers that are in here are just like, wow. I don't know, there's something about it. I like the purple and the blue. Like, I don't know exactly how they'll look when they're swatched just because they look so intense here, and they almost look like they have like chunky flakes in it. But I want to try it because I have heard Unearthly Cosmetics just raved about their formula being so nice for so long. It's like, you know what? I like this the color story. I like the color that they have. I'm intrigued. I like how many mattes there are compared to how many shimmers there are. The shimmers look like they would be really special. I want to see what I can create with this. So, like I said, June 20th is coming out. I think I'm going to be picking this up. Let me know what you guys think. Is this a palette that is like, yes, I want to see what your thoughts are on it. I feel like I'm so late to the Unearthly Cosmetics train, but you know, there's just something about this that I'm like, okay, I like it. So anyway, obviously this makes it into the top 5 because I was just so very intrigued. I like this shade Obscure. That's a pretty color. I love that type of color. And I'm just looking at it going like, how would I combine that with what it is around it? It kind of gives me like very subtle vibes of the Odin's Eye and Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner, her Giant Wolves. I blanked on the name. I'm so sorry, Annette. Giant Wolves palette, because it had those blues and purples and just the special shimmers, and I also had this shade in it, but had more greens to go with it. Anyway, that's what it's giving me like subtle hints or just making me think of. I'm just going on and on at this point. All that to say, made it into my top 5 from this past week, and I would love to hear from you guys. Do you want to see me review this? I'm into it. What can I say? Okay, bottom 5. This is coming from a brand that I actually have on my eyes today and I've been raving about, so don't take this as me knocking the brand, but it did make it into my bottom 5 because of what it is. This is the Artistry Unleashed eyeshadow palette coming from Playing in Makeup by Yolondo, and I'm just like, it's not for me. It's an all matte palette that's an all neutral palette, and if you're someone who does a lot of like neutral looks, especially if you, I would imagine if you do clients like MUA or something like this, her brand, her formula is amazing. So I can imagine something like this being so great to have in your kit or something like that, or just to do if you do a lot of people's makeup, because you have so many different types of neutrals to work with. You even have like, look at all these dark tones down here, ranging from green to blue. You got the browns, the black. I think it is pretty, and it definitely has an audience and a customer base, but for me personally, I am not that person. But anyway, it is coming soon. There's no date or information. It's a universal palette. She's buttery and easy to blend, as I would imagine from Playing in Makeup by Yolando, because her eyeshadow formula is just, all the ones I've tried are just that easy, buttery, and beautiful to blend. I really like how today's look came out. If you're curious, I'm wearing, I just dropped a palette, but I'm wearing this palette on my eyes today, working on a video showing you guys 7 different looks, so that'll be coming soon. But anyway, yeah, it's not for me. It's so very heavy on the warm and mauve type of neutrals. I do like this little corner down here with that mustard and the blue and the green. But anyway, it's going to be a pass for me. But if you are curious at all, it is coming soon. I would definitely say follow Playing in Makeup by Yolando to get the actual launch date, whenever that is. You can sign up for their mailing list. And I think if you sign up for their mailing list, they give you a first customer coupon code you could always use on this. Or if they don't do that anymore, or if you bought from them in the past, I do have a discount code now. I have an affiliate code, which I'm super excited to share. Anyway, all that to say, it was just, this was one of the want. It didn't do it for me. Okay, I feel like it's been a little while since I talked about Colourpop. At least I don't think the last 2 videos, so 2 weeks that I've mentioned Colourpop, but they came out with a collection and I was like, okay, that's nice. It is the In the Springs palette. They have a whole collection around this, but look at this. It's In the Springs. Someone, Makeup by Molly, I think, already compared it to the Glam Light Frosted Flakes palette. It does give me those vibes. However, there's something about the amount of shadows and like the amount of colors in this palette versus the Frosted Flakes ones that I like this color story more. I think it's because it's such a heavy emphasis on the orange, maybe, with just a splash of the blue, but there's more like the green, and there's like a corally type of almost burnt orange shade. Something about this color story does it for me. It's a smaller palette. It's got neutrals in it because it's Colourpop, but it is a pretty color story, and it looks like it's a very nicely saturated, very nicely and like colorful, it's not washed out type of color story. There's swatches here as well. Here's what they look like all swatched out. I think that's really nice and pretty. I love those orangey tones. So when it comes to neutrals, if they can be very orangey corally, I'm more into them. So I like that about it. The shimmers that they have are mostly those neutrals, but they look very pretty. Private Event is probably the one I'm like, you could have just had Hot Tub, but that's me being picky. Overall, I saw this and I was like, I can't put this in a bottom 5. This has to go to top 5 because I'm like, I'm not mad at it. And it goes along with the packaging so well. It's just, it's well done. And I'm surprised to say that, but I think Colourpop did a good job. Here's more swatches on a deeper skin tone. Ugh, I gotta charge my phone. But this, it just looks really nice. I love the oranges. Neon Kiss. Soaked also looks really pretty. If it shows up like that on your skin, that's really pretty as well. But Neon Kiss just keeps, it's gotta be the neon orange, but it keeps grabbing my attention so much. So anyway, I don't plan to pick it up. This is definitely a palette where I'm like, I can admire from a distance. I think they did a good job, but I don't have any, plans to purchase it myself. But yeah, I thought it was a really nice launch. Let me know if you liked it and if you're planning to pick it up, because I feel like this would be such a fun palette. Even if you're into more neutrals and you're not super into all the colorful type of eye looks, this has got enough neutrals that it would be a really fun kind of colorful palette to have for the summer. All right, we're getting to the final bottom 5, and this is from Kylie Cosmetics. Are we surprised? No, but Kylie Cosmetics, I feel like they were teasing this for a little while, but they finally shared the palette, and I was like, I thought maybe they just wouldn't have a palette, but she does have a palette. She's doing a collab with a best friend of hers. I forget, Anastasia, I think is her friend that she's collaborating with. Oh no, Stassie is the Kylie and Stassie collection. Anyway, there's liquid eyeliners, liquid lipsticks, lip liners, high gloss duos, illuminating powder, and then as you can see here, a palette, which let's just focus on the palette because everything else I was like, no. Talking about the color story, if you like covered all of the pinks and the kind of pops of blue in there, it would just be another neutral palette from her. There's just so many of those neutral colors in there. I do appreciate that she's putting those pops of colors in there and actually like kind of incorporating the whole theme of the palette, having the pink and the blue, or is that teal? I don't even know what color, but the pink and the pink and blue, whatever. Pink and blue in there, having those pink shimmers and the more blue mattes and whatnot. I think those will create a lot of really fun looks. I think overall, like I said, it's nice. It goes along with the theme of the palette. But as far as like me wanting to buy it, it's a no. And there's just so many, let's see. For me, for a neutral is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shades in there are like, it's very neutral-ish. So that's just too many for me. Like they're all kind of shades of mauve and brown. Too many in it for me for a palette to be intrigued enough. And like I said, they're also, all the other shades, all the other colorful pops are very soft and very pastelish. Like those pinks look very soft. The blues look very soft. And I don't know the formula enough to know if that would show up very nicely on skin or if it just give you that kind of wash of color, which you guys know I'm not into. So overall, an easy pass for me, an easy bottom 5. I can't believe I missed this, but this actually launched, I think, last week or came out, June 10th. But this is from Metamorphosis Cosmetics, and it is their Mesmerizing collection. It's got one eyeshadow palette, a pair of lashes, eyeliner. The eyeshadow palette's $20. All right, my camera battery died, and then I almost spilled my coffee all over my makeup table when I was setting it back up, so sorry if things are a little bit different. I feel like the lighting changed as well. Sorry about that, but let's just keep on moving. We were talking about Metamorphosis' new eyeshadow palette, and look at this. Isn't this pretty? I'm gonna go and find real quick some swatches of this because I think, let's look at these swatches so we can see all of them. I think this is so pretty. Like it's got a nice array of color to it. I feel like it's a little heavy on the shimmers. Let me see if I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe half and half, but also some of them look like the skinnier ones. Are those like water activated liners almost? Because they look so skinny with the swatch. I'm just curious if that's what they are. Let me go back to the first one and see. It just says an eyeshadow palette. It doesn't say how it breaks down. We know so these are the shadows being swatched. Oh my goodness, that orange. That is beautiful. Wow. Let's see. New collection, June 10th. I wonder where that, maybe the eyeliner is not included in here, but they just swatched it in that picture. I think it's half and half. So there's 8 mattes and 8 shimmers. I think it's a nice mix of colors. I'm very intrigued. I like all the dark shadows they have for the mattes, like this Dreams up there, but you also got Come, which doesn't look like it'll be too dark. I thought it was a very pretty palette. It's very well done. I'm intrigued. Those shimmers look really, really nice, and I've only tried one palette from Metamorphosis Cosmetics before, and there were shimmers in there that I was impressed with, and then shimmers that I wasn't as impressed with, so I'd be curious to see what type of formula is in this palette, if they used more of that intense type of shimmer formula, which looking at these, I mean, most of them look like they're pretty darn intense. That shade right there also looks like it's got to be something special. Like one of those toppers that change depending on what colors you use it with. And yeah, all the mattes, I just feel like the mattes that they put in there are very colorful. You could combine them in different ways. It'd be a lot of fun. And overall, it had to make it into my top 5 because I was very impressed, very pleased. I thought it was very pretty. And yeah, it's well done. Top 5 for me this past week. Alright, so that is going to do it for my top 5, bottom 5 new makeup releases. Will I buy it video? It's always a fun time chatting with you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. I try to remind myself to say it throughout the video, but if you're coming to the end of the video and I might have forgot it during it, let me know your thoughts down below on either one or all of these releases that we talked about in today's video, top 5, bottom 5. If something that made it into my top 5 is in your bottom 5, no issues. Same goes vice versa. If something that I talked about in my bottom 5 is in one of your top 5 that you are super excited about or planning to get, no worries about it there. We all have different tastes and whatnot. I totally understand that, and this is just my opinions from my point of view and my preferences. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I am sweating under these lights, so I'm sorry if my makeup looks like it's melting off, but I am hot. I need to drink more of this iced coffee. But that is gonna do it for me. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to continue getting daily content from me, I am over on Instagram, LadyKatie92 over there, and I post reels, up close eye pictures, unboxings. I'm trying to get back into doing swatches of palettes and all that because I've definitely gotten out of the habit of that since the move, but definitely want to keep doing that on my Instagram, so check me out over there at LadyKatie92 if you want to. And with all that said, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.